Hello and welcome to Beyond the Ordinary. Today I'm going to be reviewing a whole series of books, and in particular two books, the first and the currently last books in the series, Schooled in Magic series by Christopher Nuttall. The first book being Schooled in Magic, and the final book, 19th book so far, being The Artful Apprentice. I've just gone back and reread both of those books so that I can give you a better review of the series. The books are about a young lady called Emily, who is an inhabitant of our current Earth from America, and very early on in the first book she gets transported from our planet to another planet where there is magic. She is transported by a baddie in the form of a necromancer whose name is Shade, and she is about to be sacrificed when, I suppose you could call him a goodie, a very powerful magician by the name of Void comes and rescues her. Now, he not only rescues her, he decides that she is going to be schooled in magic, because she does have magic herself. He doesn't know how powerful, but he's got some. She's got some. So very early on, she is transported to a magical school called Whitehall, and the rest of the story essentially is about her first year in the school at Whitehall. Before I go on and talk about the school and the series, the whole world is a world which has got a typical sort of sword and sorcery feel at the moment, in that apart from magic for fighting, we're still in the swords level at the start of the first book. We have the magic is quite an elaborate system, and we get to see quite a lot of it, not only in the first book but all the way through, and that magic system is a consistent whole, and we learn a lot about the different aspects of it over the time of reading the books. By the time we get to The Artful Apprentice, the 19th book, Emily has gone through the whole of the schooling system and is just about to start an apprenticeship with the Sorcerer Void. Sorcerer, magician, wizard, whatever you want to call them. There's all sorts of different names, but it doesn't really matter. Basically, he's a big, powerful magician, possibly one of the most powerful magicians out there other than necromancers, who are the major baddie of the system if we don't count the elves. And the elves have been defeated in the far past and have apparently left the world, leaving behind buildings and various troubles that are dealt with in the books. So in the first book, when Emily enters school, she cannot do any magic because she's from Earth, but she learns to do the basics of magic quite quickly, quite easily. And we are taught how spells are constructed. We are taught about the different types of spell work you can do. And we learn that being in a boarding school where people can do magic is not particularly pleasant if you're not very good at magic. So children being children, they will play magical pranks on each other, and the teachers seem to be quite happy for that to happen. Unless somebody is permanently injured or killed, it's not really a problem, which is kind of worrying. The people who are in the world, they join the school throughout the year, so it's kind of ongoing set of lessons. There is an expectation for people to work as hard as possible, And there is the real knowledge that if you're stupid in any way, you could end up killing yourself. So magicians, on the whole, are fairly bright and fairly cautious and fairly sensible, otherwise they're dead. One of the things I really enjoy about the series is how Emily, with her knowledge of our world, influences and alters the whole of society. The Shade, the necromancer, had her brought to the world because what he wanted was somebody who was high in magic, low in knowledge, and a child of destiny. By a child of destiny, he was meaning somebody who could alter the world. Emily, on the other hand, has a mother called Destiny. So whether or not she is a child of destiny in the meaning that Shade had is open to question, shall we say. However, Emily does change the world, and she starts changing the world in the first book. And she does that by introducing concepts from our Earth into this planet. And the first one of those is mathematics. And that has consequences. And this is one of the reasons that I like this series, that every action you have has a consequence. If you do something like introduce mathematics to the world, who had mathematics, but it was more of a Roman system. But if you introduce a decimal system instead, which is easier for people to understand, then the Guild of Accountants suddenly finds himself not being particularly liked or needed and going out of work, making Emily a whole load of enemies on the Guild of Accountants. Fortunately for her, she's in a boarding school, she's in a very safe position. They can't get to her easily. But that might have consequences later on in the series. And she will introduce other things as the books progress. Another thing that I enjoy about the series is how well the different characters evolve as characters. So everything is from Emily's point of view, but you get to understand all about the people that she is sharing her courses with. You get to meet quite a cast of characters, and that cast just grows and grows as the series goes on. You get to experience her love life or lack thereof as she gets a bit older. You get to find out what her relationship with her mother and stepfather were like before she left Earth, and why she doesn't really want to go back to Earth again. I read the two books, the first and the last books, again because I wanted to compare my remembered belief about the books and the actuality of whether the books were consistent across the series, which they are. There is a very strong narrative, there is a very clear world building, there is a strong magic system, there is progressions that all of the characters make. You can see the different character arcs happening over a series of books. You learn more about different people as the series go on, and you change your mind about various people as you learn more about them. You find out that there's more than just one villain or set of villains on the planet. You find out what a medieval monarchy-based system and a whole load of different countries within the Allied lands means, and how that affects the society and in their fight against the necromancers, and how the common people are changed by the ideas that Emily brings in, and how that affects the countries, because it does affect them, because everything that's introduced is a change, and changes are shown to have consequences all the way through the series. And you can see a growth in all of the characters, which is really great. This is a series I really enjoy. It is not a substitute for Harry Potter. Even though it deals with a character in a magical school, it is not the whimsical thing that J.K. Rowling created. The magic system works. You can't just create something at the top of your hat. You can't have, if something is introduced, then that thing is there. It doesn't go away again conveniently when the author doesn't want it to be there. So it's a much better thought out series. It doesn't have as many magical creatures. It doesn't have the whimsical naming of diagonally and nocturnally and so on. It doesn't have just one baddie who turns up every now and is easy to kill off. And it doesn't have the lack of integration between the magical society and the rest of the world that a Harry Potter book would have. Which really doesn't work for me, by the way. It is internally consistent, is what I'm trying to say. It is thought out. Things happen for a reason. Consequences come because of actions. Alliances are made, and those alliances are important for further books, but in just the same way that if you ally with one person, that could cause you a problem with somebody else, that happens as well. And this happens both within the school and outside the school. Over the series, you get to see a lot of the rest of the world. There's a lot to the world, and we keep on getting introduced to more of it. We get to introduce to the consequences of other people's actions in the past. I find it a really enjoyable series to read. I look forward to it. I say there's 19 books currently in the series, and I can't see the series ending any time in the very near future. But each of the books are a whole story, a segment of Emily's life, which can sort of say to be have a start, middle, and end. But it's all part of the flow of the life, which she will then lead, and you can see her growing as a person. I heartily recommend it. As a series, I would rate it a 9 out of 10. Hope you've enjoyed this review. My name's Nigel. This has been. Thank you for watching.